record this video because I realized that I was putting a filter on myself. Taking it off. It's Friday. You know, I was watching a video of a man named Larry English, and you might not know who Larry English is, but he's the owner of the property that's being built where Ahmaud Arbery was killed. And earlier this week, I found myself being overwhelmed not because of what happened to Ahmaud, but because of the number of people who were saying things like, they're gonna get off, putting that out into the atmosphere, that they're gonna get off, putting it out into the atmosphere that he's not some innocent jogger, and so therefore, because he's not an innocent jogger, they're gonna get off. Larry English. Larry English is the owner of that home. Larry English has video cameras at that home. And Larry English said that he released the video for the sole purpose of showing that Ahmaud came in, yes, looked around, yes, and left with nothing, yes. That was the purpose of him releasing the video. But Officer Tatum, Candace Owens, you see them with their black skin and you think, well, certainly they're going to be unbiased in their accounting of what happened here. And I think that's why I was a little overwhelmed Monday, and why it took me so long to come up with something that would help us move the ball. It's one thing to experience an adversary, be adversarial. It's another thing to experience your friend, at least the people you think supposed to be your friends, to be adversarial. When I was feeling a bit overwhelmed, I got just a little note on my live, and it was from Dr. Michelle Robin. And all she said was, "Nicole, you have a beautiful smile." And I think that's true. And that reminded me of her book, Small Changes, Big Shifts. And in that book, Small Changes, Big Shifts, she's got a lot of little things that you can do when your spirit is down. And one of them is to declutter. Now, I don't have a bunch of clutter, but Lord, I can't keep up with the mail. And there's these little one-off pieces of things that I need to go through and get rid of. And so I spent the morning, not the whole morning. My goal was to just do 10 minutes. So I set a timer for 10 minutes, went through as many pieces as I could, then set the timer for 10 minutes. And I did that for about 2 hours. And I noticed that my mood was lifted. But then when my mood was lifted, I got the news of Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor, who had been in her own home, shot 8 times, I think. They in the wrong house. That man ain't even there. He's been apprehended. The person they're looking for has been apprehended already, 10 miles away. And I knew in that moment that there's no way for me to do what I asked y'all to do, or to get you all to have a gimbal, right? Like, if you have never had your house broken into by police officers, you can't put yourself in Breonna's shoes. So I thought it would be wise for me to share that, 1992. Honestly, it might have been 91. Sitting at the table doing homework. Mama gone, there with my sister. My sister just had a baby. And they bust down the door, DEA agents, and the door's unlocked now. But they break the whole thing down. You could see on their faces as soon as they came in that they knew they had made a mistake. But that did not keep them from keeping me on the floor for hours. I was in the middle of studying for a test for Jean Blair's class. World history. Why do I tell that story? I tell that story because when I ask you to go and see the real place, sometimes it is impossible for you to go and see the real place because your perspective is just so limited. You know, the person who highlighted Candace Owens probably don't know any black people besides me. Clearly watches Fox News and listens to Bot Radio Network as their information source. And so go and see the real place. Where they gonna go? Who they gonna ask? Candace? The person who sent me the video to say, Ahmaud is not the innocent person we put him out to be, had no knowledge of who Officer Tatum was, and had the nerve to say to me when I said, brother, have you done your research? Brother, do you know who this is? Had the nerve to say to me, basically, I don't care who it is, and then quoted Malcolm X to me. I'm for truth no matter who tells it. You know, I have two greatest wishes, and that is that people will read the autobiography of Malcolm X and learn more about him after he was kicked out of the nation. And that people would spend lots of time reading the notes and experiences of Martin Luther King after the March on Washington. That information would round you out a lot. And so since we're talking about King, I'll leave you with this one final point related to Boosie and Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. How do you know you are stupid? Sister Soldier asked that question. And then she said, well, if you are stupid, you will not know. If you do not know an Ahmaud Arbery, if you do not have white people in your life like Larry English, well-meaning white people who want to do the right thing, if you don't know any LGBT people on a personal level, don't weigh in on what you think people ought to do. This idea, this thing where I suggest to you that you go and see the actual place. You need information so that when you go to the place, you can run it through the right filter. You see, if you're listening to Officer Tatum and you think you for truth no matter who tells it, you think Officer Tatum tells the truth. You see, if you think you don't agree with Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade and how they raised their child, you see, if you don't understand the idea and the concept of transgender boys and girls, and if you've never heard a psychologist or a psychiatrist talk about that topic, you don't know someone personally. What you gonna go and see? You gonna take up the narrative of what you hear? You gonna go from your lived experiences only? And let me tell you what I know for sure. If I had based everything I know off of just my lived experiences before having my home broken in by DEA agents and them realizing when they brought in the K-9 unit wasn't nothing in there but some potpourri. Before that experience, I might have been saying, oh, well, what in the world did Breonna do? Who was that person she know? Where was she living? All directed and focused towards her. But see, when you have not experienced things, you have to go and see means to step into the skin of another. which means you have to listen to the stories of another, which means you have to open your mind to the stories of another. Y'all, we got a lot of work to do, and we can't get it done by ourselves. And one group that I think is starting to experience pain and suffering right there along with us are the allies in the work. And so we have got to find a way that the people who are closest to us, the people who understand, that we drive and we push and we love, so that they can keep doing the work with us. Direct your hatred where it needs to be. And baby, it never needs to be towards the victim. Ever. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. We got work to do.